What's up, Instagram fam? Welcome back to my channel. If you like the talk here, go check out my podcast. It's called the Excellence Over Perfection Podcast, available on iTunes and Spotify, where we dive deeper into these topics that you get right here on Instagram TV. Today, I want to share with you the most important thing that you can start working on for you to actually get to where you want to be. This one thing is what pulls you out of your alignment. It's the one thing that holds you stuck in your mindset traps, your blocks, and actually keeps you from making forward progression. So what is this thing? This thing is called judgment, and I cannot stress how important this is enough. There was a solo episode on the Excellence Over Perfection podcast dedicated entirely to self-judgment, so I definitely recommend you go checking it out. But before you do that, watch the rest of this video. Half the time, we get stuck in our mindset traps and we self-criticize because we place judgment on everything and everything that we do. So our nighttime routine, maybe that consists of TV, maybe that consists of snacking. How bad would that nighttime routine be if you just removed the judgment away from that? If you just removed the judgment, didn't do anything else, what effects do you think that would have on your life if you were just to create a safe container for you to actually carry out what is being done, right? I know that this exact situation was something that I struggled with for a super long time. I would Netflix and chill every night, and it would bother me because I knew that I wasn't really carrying out my full productivity or maximizing my time. So there was all of this judgment around it, and I would put restrictions, and I would put rules, and I would try to systemize it, and I would just keep applying masculine energy to try to change it. But all that it did was create more of a desire to actually do the Netflix and chill. It created more of a bad versus good mentality. It encouraged more mindset traps, which would then lead to me completely rebelling and self-sabotaging. Is this resonating right now? Because this is exactly the concept that happens with food. When you diet, it doesn't fucking work because you get stuck in the traps of good versus bad. You get stuck in the traps of what you're supposed to do and what you don't do. So if you could just simply take the pressure off, if you could remove the self-judgment from your actions, from whatever it is that you're trying to shift and adjust, and actually start focusing on the positive sides of it, basic law of attraction, how different would that play out for you? Because I know that when I actually gave myself the space to Netflix and chill at night, what do you think happened? I didn't want to rebel. I wanted to actually show up for me because I knew that it was good for me. I always knew it was good for me. But the fact that I was judging it and calling it wrong and calling it bad made me want to do it 10 times more. It was like a teenager whose mom told them not to drink or smoke weed. What does a fucking teenage kid do when you tell them not to do that? You smoke all of the weed and you drink all of the booze. So it doesn't work. It didn't work for you then, and it doesn't work for you now, except you're the one that's putting the judgment and the rules on you instead of your parents. So why don't you start mothering yourself in a different way? Because the mindset that you have had up until this point has gotten you where you're at, which might be in a really beautiful place, but maybe there's more. Maybe you still feel like there's a lot of judgment left on your actions. And if that's you, try stepping out of the judgment and into the love. Try removing the pressure to have it be a certain way. You can listen to all of the personal development and spiritual development workshops and events and listen to all of the podcasts. But sometimes that's too much. Sometimes all of that information crowds your headspace even more. And it makes you feel more shameful, more guilt, more sadness, more anger at yourself, more judgment, aka less love. So what happens when you're acting out of fear, shame, guilt? Not really great things. What happens when you're acting out of love? Everything happens when you act out of love. And judgment is merely the absence of it, by definition. So Remove your self-judgment. Take it away. Stop looking at things as good versus bad. Stop beating yourself up when you don't fulfill something. Yes, set yourself up for success with systems, but make sure that you're not judging yourself for the things that don't go perfectly, because your process is already perfect. You don't have to do anything. It's all going to unfold in divine timing. My recommendation, if you can't get out of the spiral and you can't get out of the judgment, and when you do perhaps get out of the judgment, you get more lazy, well, then there's more personal development work to do on the underlying pieces of who you are. Like the stories perhaps around worthiness, around your deservingness, around what you think you're capable of doing. So self-trust, self-confidence, that's the work that we dive into in Goddess Reclamation, and that's where and why it's so effective. So if this is resonating with you and you want to hear more, or you have any questions, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you and to support you. So thank you so much for listening to this IGTV episode, and I'll see you in the next one.